You are listening to the Daily Escape Podcast with Sadie K. Frazier. This episode has been brought to you by Traveling Realms Media.
Hello all, welcome to the Daily Escape Podcast. I am your host, Sadie K. Frazier. I hope you guys are all having a great week. When I'm recording this is actually Columbus Day, and I have another extra day off of work, which I am not disappointed about. And does it count that I'm actually looking forward to next weekend already? Someday I hope that I will be able to live the kind of life where we're not just working for the weekend, you know what I mean? Not that I don't love my job. I love everything about it. Love my coworker, everything else that happens at my job. But I'm really trying my hardest to build this podcast and my entrepreneurial endeavor. And I actually just started my own business. It's my baby, called In Pursuit of Purpose. So kind of trying to get that off the ground as well. I have lots on my plate, but it's definitely worth the effort if I can someday have a successful business of my own and not have to work for anybody else but me, myself, and I. How amazing does that sound? For all you entrepreneurs out there that already do that, kudos to you guys. I really am shooting for that. Even at my age, I don't feel like there's never a time when it's too late to reach for your dreams, shoot for the stars, and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish so that you have that time of your own to build your business and basically work for yourself. Set your own hours, travel, do whatever you want to do. So speaking of which, this stoked the flame on an idea that I'd already been tossing around. And that was to do a podcast series on people who inspire us to want to be more, to want to do more with their life than just work for the weekend. So I have quite a few people in mind for some upcoming podcasts that I'd like to have as special guests on my show. But one couple in particular, we had already interviewed last year on my hubby's podcast, which is the Crafted Quill Podcast. And their names are Adam and Kathryn Frazier, and they're from the YouTube channel Adventures of A+K. So if you guys have not found them yet, if you're into travel videos and travel vlogging and things like that, or just want to be inspired to become an entrepreneur, travel full-time, see the world when we've been locked down on COVID, they are a couple that saved us from basically just the doldrum of being stuck at home during COVID. So check them out on YouTube. Like I said, their YouTube channel is Adventures of A+K. And we found them, I think, by accident maybe a long winter not so long ago, looking for some travel vlogs that would inspire the novel that my hubby and I were co-writing together. And that novel was called Have Fate Will Travel, Chances Are. And from the very first video that we watched of them, we just fell in love with them. We ended up binging almost like 200 videos in one long stretch. I think they've got real close to 200 now. So anyway, they're just amazing. They are very down to earth. Their sense of humor, they bring you into their world and make you feel like they're your friends. And they were not only the inspiration for many of the scenes from our novel, How Fate Will Travel, Chances Are, but they definitely inspire us every day to want to be more, to want to do more with our lives. So I hope you'll enjoy this week's crossover episode with the Crafted Quill Podcast, and we intend to do lots more of these where we can. With my hubby and I both being podcasters, we thought it would be fun to kind of do some crossover events here. One of which that's coming up on his podcast first. We're going to do a 2-part series, Decluttering Your Marriage. And you never know what you might get between the two of us since we both love to talk. So I think we're going to do part 1 on his, and then we'll finish up part 2 and cross over onto my podcast. So Anyway, don't forget you can find our historic romance novel set in the World War II era, Have Fate Will Travel, Chances Are, on Amazon. And you can find us under Stephen St. Clair and Sadie K. Frazier. And we're actually coming up on the birthday of its release here in about another month. I think we released it on Veterans Day for a very specific reason. So, okay, you twisted my arm. I'm going to take a minute to read the blurb for that book, too. I'm going to do a little shameless self-promo here because that's what we do. So, and I really think that you guys would love it. If you want to be inspired to travel the world, believe that true love never dies, and maybe you're a hopeless romantic like we are. So, this is a timeless love story of a young wartime journalist, Peter, who is swept away by an unexpected gift of love when he least expected it. A chance meeting with a mysterious man brings Sarah all she has ever hoped for as she finds forever within his heart. As they begin to dream of building a life together, Nazis infiltrate the city of Bordeaux, France. Within seconds, mass chaos erupts and their hearts are torn apart. Their bodies are ripped from one another as each disappears without a trace. With the hope of their future crushed, they fear that the other has not survived the brutal wrath of World War II's utter destruction. Separated by the devastation of war, they are determined to find one another again, against all odds. As each returns one day to make peace with their past and say goodbye to all that could have been, fate steps in and opens the door to a whole new journey that lies ahead as their hearts are reunited at last. Rewriting the story of their lives, they leave a treasured legacy they hope will inspire others to follow in their footsteps and find true love, and never give up hope no matter the odds stacked against them. This timeless love story continues as it touches a young bookstore owner, Alex, when he decides to join their quest that spans the globe, one that will change his heart and life forever. A chance meeting with a mysterious man brings Emma a second chance at love, as she accepts destiny's call in the form of following the same quest and finds that everything she's been searching for was right in front of her all along. Through an unsuspecting miracle of fate, their paths cross, and these four lives discover they are connected by secrets and bonds that span a lifetime of memories and beyond. Is love alone enough to save them? Are the hands of fate powerful enough on their own to break down the walls that separate these two hearts? Chances are, when fate and love come together, the answer is almost always a resounding yes. Chances are, when the dust has settled and all is said and done, the true quest you were searching for was right in front of you all along. Sarah and Peter Gordon. And that was from two of the four main characters from our story. So go grab your copy on Amazon now. Like I said, it was released about 11 months ago, but it is a timeless classic that you are not going to want to miss out on. Have Fate Will Travel, Chances Are. All right, so without further ado, I bring you to the exciting, humor-filled adventure podcast with our friends and fellow YouTube vloggers of Adventures of A+K, Adam and Kathryn Frazier.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Stephen St. Clair and my lovely, more than just my assistant wife, Sadie K. Frazier.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning, beautiful. Okay, so this is Podcast 7, A Tale of Two Travelers, featuring in segment 2 special guests, Adventures of A+K.
And we could not be more excited. Talk about fanboy and fangirling.
Just a little bit.
So, we are one of the few odd ones out there that still believe that everything happens as it's meant to in this gigantic universe of ours.
Huge.
That moments and opportunities and signs and people are put into our lives for a reason at the exact moment you need them to show up. So we're going to start with kind of talking about our recent book, How Fate Will Travel, and an accidental find about a guest book at a little hidden gem in Omaha called the Imaginarium. Was it my 50th birthday?
Mm-hmm.
We started off on a little road trip for coffee and decided to stop by this little antique Imaginarium store. And we found this guest book that we kind of debated on whether we should get. Actually, one of us debated. You debated. I was like...
I was over it. You kept pushing it.
Yeah. I kept picking up this book, and I'm like, I just can't put this down. There's something about this book I want. There's a lot of little handwritten notes and things like that. I didn't look at it really close, but it was like, seriously, $3 or something. So I put it in the cart, and I was like, okay, we have to have this. So we get it home, and we ended up tracing it back to, long story short, we ended up tracing it back to the original owners. We found names, entries, cities, states, all kinds of things in there. But what really clued us in was we had this little tiny newspaper clipping that fell out of the guest book that had the names of a set of parents and a child. We were actually able to trace that online to a person that was still alive. We found them on Facebook and then located their daughter-in-law, and she was thrilled that we had contacted her and promised to investigate further to see where this guest book come from. So we ended up finding out that their parents had since passed. One of the children who lived in Omaha had given their things away.
Did you set a timeline? How far back did we find the book had come from?
1943, something like that.
Like maybe pre-World War II, which actually sets the stage for our book, Have Fate Will Travel.
Yep. And it's, one of their children ended up just, when they passed, she gave all of their items away. Just randomly threw some stuff away. And I guess she was living in the Omaha area.
Yeah, there was 2 sisters and a brother, right?
Yeah.
Originally.
Yeah.
So parents, 2 sisters and a brother. And I think one sister was mentally ill, if I remember right. And she just scattered everything.
Including like all their memories and treasured pictures and family photo albums. And so we stumbled upon this guest book, and it ended up being a guest book of like their whole life together.
It was kind of like a B&B. I mean, we saw...
Yeah, it started off like Welcome to Your First Home. One of their best friends had given it to them, and it ended up being a B&B in Arizona or something.
Yeah,
that
something
we traced
like that.
it down to. So anyway, that sparked the idea for our book, and then now we had the premise, but we couldn't think of a name.
Because the name came to fruition. We were doing a Twitter post, weren't we?
Yeah, flash fiction.
So at the time we were working in the living room. You sat across the room, and I was kind of sitting in the corner where all naughty boys should be. And I tweeted out, or I tagged at the end of what I was tweeting, Have Fate Will Travel. Hit the enter button. A couple seconds later, I'm just beating away on the keyboard, and I hear from the other side of the room,
You, sir, are a freaking genius.
And I had by then forgotten what I had even typed on it. And I think I looked at you and I said, what? And you said...
I said you were a genius. That just was the perfect title for this book. My original post was, a gentle rain fell over the streets of Manhattan. I now had 2 choices. Stay lost in the past or simply decide to let it go and move on. I sipped from my mug and closed the door to the past. Swearing it was for good this time, fate began to laugh. And that is where Have Fate Will Travel was born.
And actually, I think, wasn't it towards the end we added Chances Are?
Yeah.
It was just going to be Have Fate Will Travel, but then after we had written the manuscript...
Yeah, there's a quote in the book that leads to...
And I think if any of you buy the book, you'll see in the opening pages the quote, because I like to start my books not only with the prologue, but with a quote that kind of sets the stage. It's like a theme for the whole book, basically.
Yeah.
And so chances are, ... So there you are. And then, so, excuse me, our first step in writing is always research, as every good author should do, especially when you're doing a period piece. So the very first time we sat down to research, we made a list of locations we wanted our characters to travel to.
I think we started with like 25
Oh
locations.
man, we had a whole page. At least
by the time we wrote our first couple chapters that were like 20 pages each, we're like, yeah, we're going to have to cut down on these locations.
Yeah, we got a whittle. And it's a good thing too because our book is like 804 pages long.
Yeah, almost 800.
So we whittled like 20 countries or less or cities down to like 4, 5.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of research. We watched so many YouTube videos of just travel, which is a good thing because we wanted everything to be as accurate as possible. And we knew we wanted the book really to start out in the Pacific Northwest, which I've been there. Sadie has not been there, so that's on our bucket list. But I'm telling you, if we could move now, we would just move straight up to the PNW somewhere, throw our bags down, and say, welcome home. Having set the motion and the stage for the Pacific Northwest, this is where the book kind of starts with the first two characters in the 1940s era, Peter and Sarah, which is where they begin their life together.
Then we tied in our second set of main characters from the current era, Alex and Emma, whose lives also began in the Washington area, in a little bookstore, and then after some changes of life circumstances where they were both kind of self-reflecting and deciding where they wanted to go with their lives. So cue a YouTube search on the best coffee shops in Seattle, Washington area, because, you know, everything in life begins with good coffee. We discovered a vlogging channel, our very favorite, top one in all of mankind, Adventures of A+K.
Now, I will say, in finding these two individuals, I didn't have to scroll through all the list of travel. I saw that name, I saw their faces, and I'm like, honey, I got a good feeling about these two. I clicked on the YouTube channel, and that is what kickstarted us into the PNW. Yeah. And really, how Have Fate Will Travel got started with writing the book in the first place, and how we did a YouTube search. Who wouldn't want to go to Seattle? There's so many places, hidden gems, must-visit shops, unique spaces, and one of the first coffee shops mentioned in our book in Seattle area, we quoted it in our Seattle chapter.
Yeah, it was right from their Seattle coffee tour episode, I believe.
Yep, they were at a coffee shop called La Marzocco, which inside had a radio station where they had a mocha with about half a glass of chocolate sauce in the bottom, and it looked so bomblicious. Then my character, Alex, stops at, and actually the Marzocco one, that was your character, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Emma went to Marzocco. In the YouTube video from A+K, they also featured a Starbucks, but this is not like any Starbucks store you would find, right?
No, it was super fancy. They ground their own coffee.
It was very upscale, and this is where my character, Alex, goes. And this is pretty much how we start the book off.
Yeah.
A little bit more into that, but you know.
It's also where I first fell in love with Kathryn's closing her eyes when she sips her coffee. It's one of my favorite things that she does. Another favorite of her episodes from that video was when they visited Seattle Coffee Works in Cascade, I think. And Adam tried the rose cardamom flavored coffee and tells their whole proposal story. At the very end, Kathryn was singing "Every Rose Has Its Thorn."
Now,
she's a goofball.
I'm going to go back. I understand, and I totally get why Kathryn closes her eyes. I would call that sweet bliss.
Yep.
If you've ever ate or drank anything that just takes you to a different place in time, and for a moment the world is zen. So after that, the coffee shop scene in our book, we moved to the famous place, Pike's Place Market food tour. They did. I think we featured in our book. They're known for. They have the best chowder, mac and cheese, flying fish. You know, that's just the market stuff. So if you walk into Pike's Place, you'll see a whole market. That's the main attraction. But then they have stores everywhere. We used all of that in our book from the YouTube video for scenes in our book. That for those of you that can't travel, don't have the money like we don't, watching YouTube videos helped us a lot, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Set the stage for our book.
Adam and Kathryn really took us along on their adventures. We weren't just watching them
just to watch them experience it. We actually felt like they make us feel like we were right there with them and kind of took us along on that same adventure. So
we kind of set it's almost literally like we had a whole YouTube playlist which crossed over into our book. I mean, we literally, like, food, places we went, and then we basically, like, you could look at it like you throw a map up on the wall and you put pins in the PNW where they went. We looked up every city, but it was a beautiful work.
Mm-hmm. Then we moved on to their last episode was our favorite Seattle sights and food, and we quickly realized it was an episode about their last weekend in Seattle before moving back to Texas.
Ugh.
And for
Sad
about
face.
2 seconds we were like, oh no, we found them too late. This is the end. But then we realized that they were going to do a van build and gearing up for their van life in the future. So we took the opportunity while they were doing that. They kind of took a little break while they were moving back to Texas. So we took a little break and ended up watching all of their Washington videos. We realized that they had been abroad also, so we quickly switched to Italy and the Dolomites and absolutely fell in love with their YouTube channel. Before long, we couldn't get enough. We ended up going clear back to the first episode, and we watched them last year. We watched them all the way through from episode 1 to the very end.
Yeah, we pretty much started over. It's like, all right, I can't get enough. Got to have another fill-up. We will do a longer podcast and pimp out our book, Have Fate Will Travel, at a later date. And actually, our book has already been on the market out probably at least a month.
Yeah,
About a month. We've done good, but this book was so deeply written from our point of view that I remember getting done with the book, and I'm a big softie. I look at Sadie, I'm like, I miss our characters.
Yeah, I was actually very sad when we finished.
The book is not sad, don't get us wrong.
No.
We had invested so much time. It took us 1.5 years to write, but we took a lot of breaks in between. There's some things that came up that kind of required a little bit more attention than writing did, but we wanted to basically explain to you, kind of set the stage for segment 2 for some very special people.
Yeah, they are who inspired us the most on this journey, honestly. We could have done a lot of the writing ourselves, but we couldn't have done it without them. They inspired us so much.
So, without further ado, our next segment coming up is our interview with our 2 favorite people in the entire universe and on YouTube, Adam and Kathryn Frazier, and somewhere running around with them is their pup named Kona. So, go get a snack, grab some fresh cup of coffee, come back, and we'll have segment 2 ready for you. Hold on tight. And we'll be right back with the next segment. Okay, this is Stephen St. Clair, and with me is my lovely assistant, Sadie K. Frazier. We are blessed today to have on air from Texas, Kathryn and Adam. They are YouTube vlogger extraordinaires from Adventures of A plus K. Welcome, guys, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
We're excited.
It is a pleasure. Now, we decided to ask you guys on, and you graciously accepted. We have a slight connection between your podcast and our new book that came out, I think, in December. But you guys were an integral part of our book coming to fruition. But we want our listeners to get a feel for who you guys are. So we sent you some questions that are going to broaden the horizon of our listeners. So we'll just get right to it if you guys are okay with that.
Sounds great.
All right. I'll read the first one, Sadie, if you don't care.
Okay.
What, if you could explain in a nutshell to our listeners, what is Adventures of A plus K?
So I think the best way to describe us, the short version is we're a married couple, Adam and Kathryn, and we have a dog named Kona, and we live and travel full-time in our self-converted Sprinter van. So a van that we built out into basically a little RV. So it started out as a cargo van, and then we built it into a home. And we travel all around North America, well, currently just the U.S., and we love hiking, drinking coffee, eating tacos, finding barbecue spots, eating a lot, ice cream, going to national parks. And the whole purpose of our YouTube channel as well as our website is just to help make travel planning easier for others. So we're not here just to create entertainment, but also to provide useful information so that way people can go out and explore their own backyard in the U.S. And we're very big on, you don't need to go very far away to have an awesome adventure. You can have adventures just down the street from where you live or within driving distance or a quick flight. It doesn't always have to be anything super crazy, and that's what we kind of hope to share with people and get them motivated to go out and see the world for themselves.
That's awesome. I think that's what kind of fueled our fire too, because we kept thinking if once the kids are a little bit older, you have enough money saved and you want to go to all these big locations, and we see what you guys are doing, and I'm like, why are we not doing this in our own backyards? There's so many little hidden gems in your own towns that, you kind of miss over the years. So
for sure.
Absolutely.
As far as what makes you guys you in your videos, I think I asked you, describe yourselves in 5 words.
That was so hard. Adam, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I had to narrow it down to 5 words. It was tough to do, but I came up with, so I'm very curious. Should I expand upon each of my 5 words?
Sure.
It depends on how long do you have to talk.
Yeah, all right. So I'm very curious. So I'm curious in history and the places we visit. So I want to learn as much about that. It can range from the places we're at to space to food to everything. I'm interested in basically everything. I've always been described as a very patient person. I was a school teacher for a few years, and adults and students alike would always tell me that I'm very patient but with people and things. So, and then also I've always been told that I'm witty, so I can come up with. Sometimes funny things come to me, but sometimes I'm clammed up too, and I don't say a whole lot. But when I'm comfortable, I'm witty, and then also adaptable. So I've always been a go with the flow kind of person. So whatever happens, and I'll deal with it then. And just very adaptable, and then I guess that leads into my last one is I'm easygoing. So go with the flow type person. So
I'm sure that comes in handy. All of those things come in handy being on the road all the time too.
it does. For sure.
It definitely does. Although I will say the only thing he isn't easygoing about is the van maintenance or the van making weird noises. He gets stressed out about that. But otherwise, he's very even keel all the time.
That's how I am. Sadie could be worrying about stuff 2 weeks down the road, and I'm like, is it happening tomorrow? And she's like, well, no. I said, well, then don't worry about it. We'll handle it when it comes out.
Exactly.
Sounds like Adam.
That's right.
Now, you get me into a situation where one of our cars is acting up. Don't even talk to me, because I will be stressed out, crying in a corner somewhere.
Yeah, and I can only imagine with you guys it's 10 times worse because that's your home you're driving as it's making those noises too, so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and I'm very high stress, but the van stuff doesn't stress me out. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. We'll be fine. It'll work itself out.
We got 3 wheels.
He's stressed, so that's the only thing in life that I'm not stressed about, and then he is stressed about.
Yep. At least you take turns.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Kathryn? How do you describe yourself in 5 words?
I would say I'm very hardworking. I'm very goal-oriented and ambitious. I'm going to pretend that was just 2 words out of my mind. I I have a lot of goals in life, and I work really, really hard to achieve them. Sometimes to a fault. It's not always a good thing, but it is just how I am. I'm very goofy. I like to be very weird. I like to dance. I like to entertain people most of the time. I mean, I have to be in the mood for it, but I'm very goofy. I'm very loyal. If we're friends or if, like with Adam or my family, like I really care a lot about the people in my life, and I'm very loyal to them. And then Adam helped me with my last word, which was thoughtful. I like doing nice things for people. I'm always trying to think of like how I can do something nice for someone. I love, giving people gifts and surprising them with things. Yeah, those are my words.
Yep, good qualities to have. I would say, just from our perspective, I picked two things too from each of you, and I would say I would have picked goofiness for Kathryn, and the way that you close your eyes when you eat is one of my very favorite things that you do. And then we love the bloopers at the end when you're either singing about waterfalls or dancing around like a maniac. That's absolutely the best part of it.
Well, I guess tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow's video in the bloopers. We're doing Thursdays for now until we can have more things to go do. But we have a dancing and singing little bit in the bloopers.
Awesome.
So get ready.
I can't wait. And then Adam's, I would have picked adaptability no matter what is thrown at you, because he seems like he's never really rattled no matter what's happening. He just kind of goes with the flow. But also his quick wit and his cheesy puns that he throws in there kind of make us just crack up all the time. We love that part of you guys. So
That's awesome. I'm glad we come across the way we think we are.
Yeah.
So what fueled your fire to buy a van and live the nomad life on the fly?
So we moved to Seattle in
2016.
And once we got there, I mean, we had visited before, so we knew we'd love it, but, we fell even more in love with the place and the greater surrounding area. So we would go on road trips basically every weekend. I mean, we bought a brand new car when we got up there shortly after, and we'd go to Oregon all the time, Eastern Washington, Canada, all over the place. We were never home on the weekend, so we just wanted to see and do as much as we could, all the little towns and big towns and everything, and hike and everything. And so, after a few years of that, we could have stayed there forever, but we wanted to see other places too, and be able to, like I said, we love it there, so we're happy to go back, but we want to be able to have kind of our home base anywhere we want, in the
Absolutely.
continental, North America. So we just wanted to be more mobile and be able to explore someplace different kind of every weekend and just see more. So we figured the nomadic life would be kind of the best way to go with that. And, we looked at all the options for what kind of living situation, and the van fit our lifestyle and what we wanted the best. And was the most customizable for us, so we went all in on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the big thing was like we wanted to travel full time, but we have a dog, and so we couldn't go abroad. Like a lot of people, will go do like a year abroad or something like that, and we'd love to do that. But with Kona, we don't want to leave her for that long. So being able to have a way to travel in the U.S. full time was really nice. And some people might Airbnb hop around the U.S. or do a mix of stuff. But for us, having kind of that steady home, even though it moves, was really important. And the van does feel like our home. So no matter where we are, if we're in a parking lot or, in a really cool mountainous area or wherever, it really does feel like home, even though our surroundings constantly change.
Let me add a caveat since you mentioned home. What was the longest time you were on the road before when you had to go back to like your parents or, wherever? And was it weird being back home versus being in the van?
I think the longest was this last stint that we just did from June to November. I can't math right now, but it was the longest we had gone because we had come back before for holidays or to fix something or COVID. So this COVID's still happening, but from June to November was our longest time on the road without coming back. We did stay with some family in different parts of the U.S., so we weren't like fully in the van the whole time, but it is definitely an adjustment going back to a house in good and bad ways. I mean, good is we don't have to worry about water, power, showers, internet, all that kind of stuff. But the bad is, we go from living in our own space as ours to feeling like a guest. And my parents' house feels like I grew up in this house, so it's very much my house too. But we don't stay in my old room. We're in the guest bedroom because my old room is now my brother's room. So we, it's different, and we're used to it just being the two of us in Kona, and now we live with 4 other adults and another dog, so it's a different just dynamic. But it makes our everyday is less stressful. But we also have learned when we do go home, it reassures our decision that we don't really want a steady home right now. We want to keep traveling. We enjoy getting little breaks, but we get a little stir crazy pretty fast when we're here.
That's true, and it ended up probably being a blessing in disguise too, because you already had the van before COVID hit. Otherwise, you might have been forced to make that decision a little sooner than you wanted to anyway, like Kara and Nate did.
Yeah, we joke that we kind of wish that we hadn't built the van, or we had waited, because it would have been nice to have that project during COVID, and we could still be working on it and stuff. It would be a nice project, but we are very happy we got the time we did on the road before COVID, because obviously things are different now, and they'll be different for a while. So we got to experience it without all of the worry and the restrictions and stuff. So it worked out great in the end.
Good,
for sure.
So back when you guys could travel, how much time did you spend in preparation for your next destination?
We usually, ideally we spend at least a few hours researching, restaurants we want to check out. If there's a park there, a national park especially, what things we want to do there, and how long we want to be there, and things like that.
It really varies, though. It depends. Things change a lot in the van. We'll have plans, and then they'll change, whether it's weather related or we just learn about something else we want to go do. So for a planner like me, I've had to get really used to adapting our plans and just knowing that things can change constantly.
True.
So in an ideal world, we plan stuff out months in advance, and we always have a rough idea of where we want to go for the whole year, and even some ideas listed down of things to do. But as we've learned on the road, things change so much that we don't really plan as far in advance as we used to. Now it's it could be days before, weeks before, hours before. It really varies, but we do like to put in a good chunk of research to figure out the best stuff to do. And I guess sometimes we have to get really fast at doing it so we can do it in time.
And like we said, in our videos, we like it to be entertaining, obviously, but we like to provide information as well. So we want to know a good amount, at least, about the basic knowledge of the place we're going, so that we can share interesting facts or fun things about the place. So we'd like to know a good amount before we go in.
Sure, you want to know what you're up against.
Yeah.
That's true, and those factors also weigh in your decision, I'm sure, about where to travel next.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. I think weather is the biggest one. People ask, how do you decide? And, we want to go pretty much everywhere,
right?
But you have to go where the weather's good.
That's very true.
We're chasing the good weather for sure, or the cooler temperatures. We're not gonna choose to go to Texas in the summer when it's 100-something degrees. We don't have AC in the van, so
or Iowa when they have a foot of snow.
yeah. We didn't build it to weather the freezing temperatures, so we can't go there either. So
the weather's the biggest factor.
Well, we saw what happened when you guys tried to go to Denver. It didn't work out as planned, did it?
Yeah, we had to drive all the way to Albuquerque to escape a snowstorm. Yeah. So that was another time where our plans totally changed. So surprise weather. We got stuck in 100 degrees in South Dakota and ended up having to book a hotel for the night, even though then a cold front kind of came through. We didn't even need it in the end, but it's okay. It was just so hot and brutal. So, we have Kona with us, so we need to make sure that if we had to run into the store or if we want to go film something without her, that we can leave her. So whether that means we do stuff, earlier in the day, if it is going to get warmer in the afternoon, or we just try to avoid places that get hot or too cold. But sometimes the weather can surprise you.
That's right. So what do you like taking all those factors into consideration, what would you say you like most about van life, and what do you like least about van life?
Definitely most about it is just the freedom you have. We can be anywhere we want on any given day. We can be here in Texas one day, and then tomorrow we can get up to Colorado or wherever we want to go. It's just nice, and we can spend as much time or as little time as we want in these places. And it's also kind of taught us that, we got rid of a lot of stuff, either sold or donated things to get into the van. So we've really kind of learned what we really need in life and what we don't need. And so kind of that tiny living and not owning a lot of things kind of really showed us what's kind of important in life to us.
True.
Yeah, it's kind of changed our perspective for sure.
So you guys kind of did the extreme measure. You weighed in the factors of staying home, whether it be in Texas or Seattle, versus, I would say, live the life and travel abroad. And honestly, if Sadie and I weren't where we are, we would probably do the same thing you are doing, but not, I would say, in a van. I like a little bit more space.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
understandable.
Not that we couldn't do that, because it would be pretty sweet, but on the other hand, a little bit more room would be okay too.
And we currently have 4 dogs, so we'd have to figure that part out.
Yeah, for sure. As for like the things we like the least about van life, it's we truly do love it. I mean, just like any lifestyle, there are pros and cons. There are challenges. What we lack in some things, we have in others, I guess. But I think the hardest thing to adjust to, and it's still an adjustment, is just there's things that you take for granted when you live in a house, like being able to plug into the outlets freely and not have to worry about power and not having to fill up your water tanks and use your hotspot data for internet and all of that kind of stuff. And even just like having a place to sleep every night. Like you have your your bed in our old apartment to sleep in every night.
True.
Yeah, we still have a bed, but like where are we going to park it? So,
Yeah.
every day we try to plan ahead because it's really stressful if like the day of you're like, oh no, I need water today, or where are we going to sleep tonight? And you're scrambling to figure it out. It helps a lot to plan ahead. And some people like to be more spontaneous, but we've just found for us, like with working and stuff, it's just too much to have to figure that out every day. But sometimes we do, like we get in situations where we thought we could stay somewhere and we can't, so we're scrambling. So that's probably the hardest part. It just sometimes makes it hard to have routine because so much is always changing and you're having to worry about those things that you didn't necessarily have to think about before.
That's true.
So if COVID-19 was not a factor, or let's say it was suddenly all better, where would you want your first worldwide destination to be? And if you're following along, this is question 12, by the way. We skipped a couple.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so we thought about this a lot, and it's a very hard question for us because basically every day our wish list of places we want to go gets longer. We're just seeing other people go places and watching other people and stuff like that. So it was really tough to narrow this down. But for me, and I don't know if for me, but
we agree on all of it. Maybe the order.
We'll go anywhere really, but I really want to go to the Oceania and Southeast Asia. New Zealand, Australia, Tasmania, all the Vietnam, Thailand. So we just the beaches, the food, the culture. We've been abroad, a few times, but they've been English-speaking countries or Spanish. It's kind of difficult, but the Southeast Asian languages would be more of a
cool cultural experience.
Yeah, cultural experience for us to experience. Yeah,
we really want to go somewhere like where we're out of our comfort zone a bit more. I mean, Mexico City was out of our comfort zone because no one spoke English there. Like we knew it would be mostly Spanish speaking, but it was a lot more Spanish speaking than we thought.
Well,
so that was a little difficult, but everyone was so nice to us there, and it was incredible. Also, one other place that we were supposed to go to Peru in June for 2 weeks. We had this whole like trekking. We were going to be working with like a trekking company for part of it. It was going to be really, really, really fun. And I still am like holding on to having that trip happen at some point. South America sounds awesome. So that's also, it's going to come down to, I think, when we can go abroad again, where can we get like the best deals and like we're probably going to end up booking so many trips.
Well,
I have a feeling just like after 9/11, there's going to be a lot of specials too once it's open for travel again. So.
Well,
I sure hope so.
well, remember, if you're in, Mexico, you only have to know 2 sentences. Where's the bathroom? And mas tacos, por favor.
Absolutely. For sure.
One of our bucket list items is Ireland and Scotland, just because we both have Celtic genes in us too. So that's up there, but that's always been on the bucket list. But then we'll watch one of your videos, and I'm like, no, wait, I want to go here. No, wait, we got to go there.
No, we know the feeling.
Yeah.
It's always changing, but Scotland's incredible. We'd love to go back there. I think since being stateside for so long, we've really wanted to go back to the UK as well. We've been to some of it, so it's maybe lower down on the list just because we want to go to new places, but the UK is incredible. We'd love to go do some cool hikes in England, and there's just so much more there than people realize. And I think at the end of the day, we really enjoy sharing places that maybe are more overlooked or just you don't know the full story.
Right.
So in England, they have crazy cool beaches and mountains, but most people just think of, London and stuff. So we love to share the stuff that maybe surprises people a bit.
Now,
True.
When was it, Kathryn? You were there. You were in France. What was it, last year or before COVID hit? I think.
Yeah, I think it was October 2019.
No, so you almost could have done. Well, you were probably tied up with work, but you almost had could have done a remote vlog then, and Adam could have been at home and.
That's a good idea. We should have done that.
Well, we could have, but I would have felt guilty. I've been to Barcelona and Paris for work, and both times, I did try to go sightsee as much as I could. Barcelona more so because we were actually in the city. In Paris, we were outside the city, and it was amazing. But the whole time, I didn't enjoy it nearly as much without Adam. Just it's not as fun to not have someone to talk to and share the moments with. And
Sure.
so I didn't want to do too much because I wanted to save it for when we get to go. But now I feel like I have a bit more of the lay of the land. So when we go, I can get us around easier.
True.
That's true.
So real quick, timestamp. How much time do you guys got left?
Yeah, we can go about 10 more minutes.
15
All right.
maybe.
10, 15,
All right, cool.
yeah.
All right.
Try to get quicker.
Yeah, no, this is exactly what we want.
So, who or what are some of your travel inspirations and influences?
Yeah, so kind of the one that kind of kicked us off on the YouTube journey was Kara and Nate. We were really inspired by what they were doing, traveling full time. They kind of opened our eyes to that and kind of realizing that to travel, you don't have to have a ton of money to do that. So they were kind of the original inspiration for full-time travel for us.
Yeah, they opened our eyes to places that we didn't know really. I mean, we knew maybe they existed, but we didn't really think much about going to them. And so that got us excited about traveling more, and also the whole YouTube thing that kind of kicked us off on doing YouTube. We've seen all of Endless Adventures video. I don't know if you watched them, but we really, really like them. They make you feel like you're with them the whole time, and they've been doing a lot more U.S. stuff because of COVID, obviously, but even before COVID, they were doing U.S. and international, so you could see them going to places that you could go to more easily, as well as places that are more, farther away.
Right.
And then lately, we really like this guy named Craig Adams. He makes these, I don't know if they're going to forever say silent hiking films, but he's been doing a lot of, silent hiking films, and just his camera work is incredible. And so we kind of taken, I would say, from Kara and Nate, Endless Adventure, and Craig Adams, kind of a mix of taking things we like from their videos to try to create our own style, I guess, and just inspiring us to be better. And also, go see stuff too. But I guess I'm answering this more from a YouTube perspective.
Yeah.
But they also show us places that, we didn't know really existed or had no idea to go check out. So that's been awesome. I think we watch YouTube more than we watch. We don't really watch YouTube that often, to be honest, but more than we watch TV or anything else. That's our source of entertainment.
Ours is too. We're always looking for new stuff on YouTube to watch because you can watch regular TV anytime if you have access to it, but we're always looking for new things and cool people to watch and be jealous of.
Yeah, we live vicariously through you all.
No, we know the feeling.
All right, so let's skip ahead a little bit again. Is there anything that, if you had to do it all over again, is there anything that you would change?
I mean, with traveling in general, we wish we had done it sooner. I mean, I guess we're very thankful that we're doing it now. It's such the best time of life for us to do it. We don't have, any kids, or we don't have a house that we have to, pay a mortgage on or anything. I think we wish we could start sooner, just so we could have more time to see all these places that are on our list. For the van, though, we would change a few things. Mostly just adding more like ventilation, like an AC unit potentially, and then like a crate for a built-in crate for Kona. Just to make life more comfortable. But, I mean, we're just so glad. Like, I guess, when did we move out of Austin? It was, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, we didn't really do much, and we didn't really travel. So we're just so thankful that we're doing this now.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it took us a little bit of time, but we got there, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, that move was kind of a... we had planned to go the next year, but other things happened, and so we were like, let's just go now. So we're glad that happened and we made that jump. So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad we started then, but if we could have started sooner, we'd have even more memories. But we're obviously thankful for what we've done so far. And
Absolutely.
look forward to more.
So with all the traveling you guys have done 24/7, what has it been like traveling with your spouse? And I don't necessarily want to phrase it this way, but you know what I mean. Do you ever get tired of each other? It's kind of hard to get your own space in a Sprinter van.
It can be, but the good thing is we're absolutely, I mean this 100%, we're the absolute best friends, and we just have the best time with each other. I mean, we work together, we do all the fun things together, explore places, and we really don't even need time apart from each other, so we don't ever get tired of each other. And it sounds cheesy and cliche or whatever, but it
sounds
true.
Like we're lying, but it is true. I mean, there have been maybe 2 times that we were annoyed, and basically in that situation, like Adam will just go take Kona on a walk, or one of us will go on a walk to get away from the other one, or one person can sit in the front of the van and the other's in the back of the van. But thankfully that doesn't happen very often, because we hear from people all the time, like, I could never, live in that with my husband or my wife, and we're just so lucky because we love it. And even with the small space, it's rare that we get annoyed with, each other getting in the way. We can squeeze by each other pretty easily, so, yeah, I mean, if we do need space, though, we'll just go for a walk or go sit in the front of the van.
That's awesome. And if anybody understands that, it would be us, and that I think that's one of the things that draws us to you guys, because it's hard to explain to other couples that don't feel that way. We've been married for 21 years, and we just had 2 extra snow days together, and it was the best thing in the entire world. End of the weekend, it's like, I don't want to go back to work and be without you. We would love to do this full time and be with each other, and we hang out together, play video games together, travel together, everything. I mean,
write books together.
Yeah, we're both authors together too, so our whole life is, revolves around each other, and I don't know. It's just nice to meet another couple that feels that way too, and we kind of definitely get that.
Yeah, no, it's a very special thing, and, we can only hope that everyone can feel that way, because it's just such a rewarding feeling, to have that person with you all the time, and you don't get annoyed with them, and you want to actually be with them all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what is your all-time favorite location you've ever traveled to so far, and why?
Yeah, in the United States, it's definitely Glacier National Park or the Sawtooth Mountains in Idaho. Both places just were unbelievable, incredible, and can't wait to get back there. Abroad, again, more mountains, is the Dolomites in Italy. We just had the best time there. I mean, if we had to pick one out of all those, we'd say the Dolomites, because just the culture there and the mountains are beautiful and the great experience we had. The towns, the people were so nice, and it was just a lot of fun.
Now, you guys mentioned earlier, this is off topic here for a second. Of all the destinations you have been or want to go, is there just foods that you've been jonesing for, like, God, I can't wait to try that?
Probably Asia. Street food in Asia. I really want to get, cheap cow soy in Thailand.
Oh, the soup.
Have you guys had cow soy?
We've made homemade version, but not out anywhere.
Nice. Yeah, I've never tried making it, but I've had it a couple times and it's so good. Yeah, and obviously just more tacos.
I was gonna say.
We got our fix on Italian pasta, and that was just amazing. Another one that's slipping my mind now.
So you want to try?
Yeah. In the U.S., I mean, we're hoping to get to New England at some point. So like lobster rolls and like all kinds of stuff like that. More seafood would be good.
Well, when you guys were in Italy, and we saw you guys eating all the pasta food, I looked at Sadie. I'm like, Kathryn can't have that. She can't have gluten.
You know, people still email us and ask us about how I actually felt and stuff. So I took like a digestive enzyme. That's like the grossest sounding word. Sorry.
Yeah.
But my doctor gave me one of those. She's like, just take this before every meal. But after like day 2, I was like, whatever. I'll just wing it. And I truly felt fine. You know, I will say we felt very full because we ate a lot, but I never really felt sick. Yeah, a lot of gelato. I never really felt sick, so it was really exciting because, you know, I eat it here and I don't feel that great. I mean, I could feel worse, but it's definitely not like a feeling I want to have 24/7. So I'm very lucky that apparently the gluten is different in Europe.
Yeah, it looked that way. I was really surprised. I think I messaged you about like, what are you eating over there?
The thing is, though, is like when we go to Asia, I don't think the same rule applies. I don't think the gluten is safe for me there.
That's true.
I mean, I might just have to feel bad for a while.
Yeah.
Well, skipping ahead, time-wise here. So, what are your goals for this year, and if COVID wasn't a factor? That might fit in an earlier conversation, but expand if you could.
We have some goals. They've changed like 3 times already. We're on like Plan D at this point. The original plan was to drive to Alaska, but you know the West Coast has been under tighter restrictions, and then Canada, the border's closed. You can still go to Alaska, but you have to like book it through Canada. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to experience it, so we're gonna put that off.
Can you take a ferry to Alaska?
You can from Seattle, I believe, or
probably
from somewhere
expensive.
in Washington, which is pretty cool. That would be really fun to do for like the way back or something. Currently, the plan is just to leave Texas at some point. You know, we really want to spend the summer out west. We love the West Coast. We love all the mountains. We want to just do a ton of hiking this summer. We have some hiking like trails we really want to hit up this year, but we're trying not to get too attached to anything. And then we really want to spend fall in New England, like Adam mentioned. That was the plan for this year.
Yeah.
This past year. But they had a lot of restrictions, so we decided to wait until maybe it'd be more normal feeling. But, yeah, we don't know.
I mean, the West is the most conducive for van life and our kind of lifestyle. There's tons of, the national parks, and there's all kinds of, towns and places that we can stay on, the Bureau of Land Management lands that you can stay on, and free campsites and just epic places all over the place. And then, hopefully New England, because that's kind of one of the last major areas we haven't been to yet in the United States. So we're really excited to get there.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe you guys could jump over to Oak Island and help them dig up treasure or something.
So
COVID wasn't a factor, but I don't know. At this point, we're like, we plan to just stay in the U.S. because we don't think going abroad is realistic. But
right.
if COVID wasn't a factor, I would want to use our Aeromexico credit to go to Peru. That expires before we likely will be able to use it.
Patagonia.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful there.
We watch. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show Alone. That's where we got hooked on Patagonia when they stay out there for however long it is, try to make it in the wilderness and survive. So
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it, but I have heard of it.
Yeah,
if you look up the show, look up the Patagonia season. That's a pretty sweet show.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up since you guys are kind of short on time here too. Can you tell us how we can find you guys and follow you through all your social media links?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's adventuresofaplusk.com, and the plus is spelled out Plus. We have Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and it's all Adventures of A+K spelled out. So that's where you can find us.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for your time. We enjoyed very much talking to you, putting a voice with a face. We hope another time we can do this on down the road. And if you come through Omaha, like you said, give us a ring. We'll take you out for coffee or tacos.
All right. Sounds great. And thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah.
It was nice to finally talk to your voices.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You guys have a good night, and we love watching you guys. Be safe.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye. And welcome back. This is our third segment. I believe we call it the pour, do we not?
We do. How excited are you right now that we just interviewed them?
I was super excited. It was like we were... Adam and Kathryn, don't take this the wrong way. It's like we were talking to famous people, and they were famous in their own right. They've set the benchmark for YouTubers, and...
I feel just the opposite, though. I didn't feel like they... I feel like from the very first second when she was teasing you about your namesakes and things like that, but we just kind of were old friends and chatting through.
They had
phone
the
line.
air about them of just
Friends,
old friends.
family. Yep. We really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time out to talk to us and just kick back and relax a little bit. I hope one day you guys roll through town and call us and say, hey, we're in town, let's go. You can count on us to be there. So we're going to wrap.
Eat ourselves stupid.
Yeah,
with
we don't,
you guys.
and we don't do that very often. You guys will probably eat us under the table. So, anyways, we're going to wrap up this segment. We usually have things pretty well planned out, but this time we don't. This whole podcast really has been about a couple things: travel, food, I would say, but all of that ties into our book. Have Fate Will Travel. Chances are. So, though this is the first creative collaboration for myself and with my wife Sadie K. Frazier, we have actually been collaborating in life as first and foremost spouses, friends, parents. And speaking of parents, we have a grandbaby.
And grandparents. Last time we talked, we said our grandbaby was about to be born, and she's here. She's a week old today. Sandra Mae Robinson.
We love you, Sandra. I'm going to call her Sandy, but you know. So, anyways, we have been married for 21 years now. And when we started this book, we'd only been 18, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So we put a lot of heart and a lot of soul and a little bit of research in this book, but none of that was possible on two things and two things alone. First and foremost, if that guest book had not been dropped off at the Imaginarium over in Omaha, and secondly, if Kathryn and Adam had not done the podcast, the vlog on YouTube that they do. Without either one of those two things, our book would not be where it is right now. So, to that, I say thank you very much with all of our hearts, and we wish you, Adam and Kathryn, the best of luck in life, in happiness, and further travels.
And I guess that kind of ties into what we started off with everything happening for a reason as it was meant to in the universe. So, thank you for being part of the opportunity, part of the signs, the moments, and the people that were put into our lives for a reason at the exact moment we needed them to show up. I'm going to read, in kind of closing here, our blurb from our book. And maybe you guys can swing by Amazon and see if you are interested in picking up either a Kindle copy or a paperback copy, and then also don't forget to stop by Adam and Kathryn's Adventures of A+K YouTube channel and like and subscribe. And if you're brave enough, start over with episode 1 and binge watch all the way through. We promise that you guys will not be disappointed.
Now, I do want to add, I just don't even know why I didn't think about this. There is a music playlist with our book.
Yes.
Which one is it? Do you remember?
Have Fate Will Travel, I think official playlist.
Yeah, official playlist.
It's listed under our Have Fate Will Travel YouTube channel also.
As you read each chapter, you could, if you are able to do so, have the music playing lightly while you're reading, or listen to the music and then read the chapter. Either way, after Sadie and I had written the book, we went back and we spent hours pulling together songs and putting it on a YouTube playlist.
It's pretty cool. Every genre imaginable.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite songs is Lady in Red.
Yeah.
There's a certain part in the middle towards the end where that song really, really kicks in. And it was one of those, like, I had heard that song my whole entire life. And then this book came around, like, oh, I know where I'm using that song at.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do it?
Maybe. Chances are, when fate and love come together, the answer is almost always a resounding yes. Chances are, when the dust has settled and all is said and done, the true quest you were searching for was right in front of you all along.
And I will add just a little bit to that. I've known Sadie since 1985, so I'm going to date myself. 85, I was 10 years old, and our two families pretty much lived and breathed for each other for 2 years, and then we went our separate ways for really unknown reasons, I would say. But 12 years I went without seeing and talking to this beautiful person, and 1999, I don't even know. It was just not to steal it, but a series of blank events kind of took hold, and we came into each other's lives again. And really, in October of 1999 is where our path officially begins. And though we've had our trials and certainly triumphs, I couldn't think of a better person to go through things with. It's really hard not to get emotional on the air, but it's really true. And I think I hope that for all of you that are listening out there, I hope that you have somebody special that just is willing to move mountains for you, because life just seems so much more manageable and understandable when you have that person with you that is willing to walk down that road together with you. It reminds me always of a jewelry commercial where, doesn't it start off with a younger couple sitting on a bench?
Yeah.
And they look and they see an older couple walk by, and the camera zooms in on the backs of the older couple walking, and it ends with them holding hands. That's how I want my life to be.
Absolutely. I wouldn't want to do this life without you, that's for sure.
Agreed.
So thank you for being part of my story. Forever.
Always.
So, this has been podcast number 7. It was about a tale of 2 travelers, and I guess you could say 4 travelers. Our stories kind of intermingled in here too, but we have featured Adam and Kathryn Frazier from Adventures of A+K, and it's been an amazing journey. It's been an amazing ride, and we thank you guys very much for letting us interview you and for being guests on the podcast.
Yeah, we love you guys. We wish all the best to you in the world, and I truly hope our paths will cross. So, to all you out there in podcast land, have a good night, be safe, travel on.
See you on the flip side.
All right. So, to recap, that was a crossover episode with the Crafted Quill Podcast, my lovely hubby. And that was an interview that we did with Adam and Kathryn Frazier of Adventures of A+K. So I hope that you guys have gained some inspiration both from them and from us. Whether you be inspired to travel the world, believe that true love never dies, or just remain hopeless romantics like we are. This has been a crossover podcast with fellow YouTube vloggers of Adventures of A+K, Adam and Kathryn Frazier. I'm wishing you all an awesome week, and I'll be back with a regular episode next week. Until then, I am unconditionally yours. All my love, Sadie.
I promise I'm better now. Wouldn't hold it against you if you say that you don't wanna get close to me, close to what we used to be. But I just feel like dancing. Are you feeling it too? Oh baby, won't you love me? Won't you love me? Won't you love me? Love me like yesterday. Don't you feel how it feels, babe? Won't you love me the old kind of new way? Love me like yesterday.
This has been another episode of the Daily Escape Podcast with a crossover episode event with Crafted Quill Podcast. And we have been your hosts, Sadie K. Frazier and Stephen St. Clair.